The next time the Democratic candidates take the debate stage, they will be in New Hampshire. A Monmouth University poll has Pete Buttigieg barely in the lead. That poll's margin of error is 4.9%, essentially making it a four-way race for Buttigieg, Biden, Sanders, and Warren. For more, let's bring in Neil Levesque. He is the executive director of the New Hampshire Institute of Politics. Neil, thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me on.
So our CBS News campaign reporter Nicole Skanga reports that New Hampshire Congresswoman Annie Kuster is going to endorse Pete Buttigieg on Friday. She would be the first member of New Hampshire's congressional delegation to endorse. How significant is that?
This is really big for Mayor Pete. I think that, anything that really can give you a lot of momentum here at the end and get a lot of earned media, this endorsement will do that. Kuster was an early supporter of Barack Obama. She is one of two members in New Hampshire, so she represents half the state. She's very well known, and this is a big, big endorsement coming out of the delegation, which has rather been quiet so far on the endorsement front.
Well, New Hampshire has an open primary. How does that factor into how candidates are going after voters there?
Well, so what that means really is that undeclared voters, which are commonly referred to as independents, which are the largest voting bloc in New Hampshire, they can actually go in and take a Democratic ballot and really play in this primary. So when you're a candidate, you're not just talking to sort of the left or the very progressive wing of the Democratic Party. You're trying to go out and say, I might be able to get some independents here. John McCain famously did this very, very well in 2000 and really took a lot of those independent voters and brought them into the Republican primary and got a double-digit lead over George W. Bush.
Well, we know that the Senate trial is going to take some Democratic candidates off the campaign trail. So how crucial are retail politics in the weeks before the New Hampshire primary?
Well, I think that the impeachment thing is really going to upset the sort of primary election in general, and not just for the retail candidate campaigning that goes on. I think it's going to upset it for several reasons. First of all, if you're a U.S. senator and you're a juror, you can't react to the news of that day. So if your opponent comes out with a new plan for health care plan, you can't really say anything. You have to wait until the end of the day, and you can't be sort of front lines on the news. The other thing is that one of the front runners is Joe Biden, and he is sort of been wrapped up by the White House mainly in the impeachment thing. They keep bringing up Hunter Biden, and that's going to keep being brought up as much as the Republicans can do it. And so that may affect his outcomes here in New Hampshire as well.
Interesting. Well, on Tuesday, we saw Senators Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders go after each other really sort of directly there out in the open for the first time. How do you see that playing out in New Hampshire, considering that they're both from neighboring states?
They're both from neighboring states, but the truth is that some of the front runners, Biden, Buttigieg, for example, they're from places sort of far away. The point is that this take the gloves off moment, if you will, or don't shake my hand moment in the debate. This was one of these things where I've actually been waiting for sort of the gloves to come off a little bit. This has been a very, very polite primary campaign. The debates are a little bit, frankly, sleepy so far, and I'm hoping that more of this that brings out not negative things, but shows contrasts and the way that candidates react towards one another. In 1980, Reagan really showed how strong he could be in that Reagan-Bush debate. And that really separated him from the pack. And I'm hoping that sort of some of the personality, if you will, and some of the sort of fight comes out in the weeks ahead.
Is that sort of the sense you're getting from voters there, that that's what they have an appetite for at this moment?
Well, remember that Democrats know that the person that's chosen by these primaries and gets this nomination is going to face quite the fighter himself. And Donald Trump has made mincemeat out of a lot of his opponents, both Republican and Democrat, in the past. And so I think showing some sort of ability to really have a fight here and be strong and tough and potentially show what you can do against Donald Trump in a general election campaign is what voters are going to be looking for.
Let's talk about former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick. He entered the race late in the game. According to a Monmouth University poll, Patrick was polling at less than 1%. Why do you think he's struggling with voters there?
Well, I think this is the sort of a thing where there's so many choices and have been. You know, we had 26, 27 major candidates in the last year, and there's so many good choices. It's not like, you know, a few years ago when it was Hillary, O'Malley, and Sanders, and there was only a few people. This is like going into the cafeteria, and there's so many different choices to pick from. It kind of stalls you out. And Deval getting in late was a disadvantage. There's still plenty of time for him to attract attention. But, you know, if you look at history, presidents that win usually have had long, well-thought-out campaigns. And they may come in kind of late, but this is something that they've planned out long in advance. And I'm not sure that he had the advantage of time with that.
Right, New Hampshire primary just around the corner. Neil Levesque. Neil, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.